Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Wynaut Wednesday. I'm your host, the Letty Comedian, so without further ado, let's get started. This week we're going to do something a little different. Instead of bringing up a potential fighter that is on our mind or showing up in speculation, we're going to dive into the newest fighter, or fighters rather, to join the roster. I plan to do similar videos for all the fighters that have already appeared in the game, just trying to make sense of their inclusion with the power of hindsight, as well as giving my thoughts on the character and what it means to me to see them join the fray. And answer, why not Pyra and Mithra? As we do here, we're going to start with things Smash fans may see as a disappointment with their inclusion, and then follow up with a positive note of what people might be looking forward to with their announcement. And as always, come to our own conclusion on the fighter, trying to be as unbiased as possible. You gotta be kidding me, right? Another anime sword fighter? So many in Smash speculation are often more excited when characters show up from franchises that aren't already represented in the game, and these lovely ladies don't exactly hail from a whole new world. Third-party characters seem to get a much bigger pop from the Smash audience, but these characters didn't quite generate as much buzz as we can imagine some of the more popular speculated guest fighters would have. Are we starting a trend where we don't have to include the who is considered the main character of the game first? Alright, Sheena anyone? So, what's good? Well, you may have forgotten, but before Super Smash Bros. Was the Hall of Game it's considered today, it was a humble Nintendo crossover, and sometimes it's just a breath of fresh air to see it return to its roots. I haven't had the honor of experiencing it myself firsthand, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a highly praised game from a well-received franchise, and many are glad to see it get more love. Did anyone actually expect us to get a 2-in-1 character? I myself was hoping we might could see a pack that included an Echo Fighter, but I didn't think we'd get nearly this lucky. As children of the Big N, and from what I can tell, recipients of some borrowed animations, maybe these bLadies were an extra gift we received partially based on their ease of implementation. So, how well do these arguments stack up? Well, firstly, the anime-style sword character dissension seems to me like a crutch that those upset in speculation seem to fall back on when they have the chance. I didn't see or hear this argument nearly as prominently after Sephiroth's reveal, and it hasn't slowed down the popularity of characters like Sora, Yuri Lowell, or Lloyd Irving all that much. And to a lesser extent, other sword fighters like Dante or Ryu Hayabusa. Characters that use their fists in combat are just as, if not far more often, included, but the community wasn't up in arms over Banjo, Terry, or Min Min's inclusion with the similar reasoning. Swords are just a commonly used weapon. I think we should just grow to accept that. I think this argument was forged in the announcement of so many Fire Emblem characters, and then was adopted to sword fighters in general, so the Smash speculation scene would feel more justified in their disapproval of certain characters. I do understand a lot of the frustration, but can we please at least wait until we've tried out the characters before we judge them? I did want to add here that I do think it's funny that Joker uses a knife which is literally a small sword, and no one was mad about that, but characters like Shulk and our bLadies here have this magical weapon that can hardly even really be deemed a sword by conventional means. Many in the Smash speculation scene took Reggie Fils-Aimé's statements given alongside the reveal of Fighter Pack 1 at the 2018 Game Awards to heart, and I quote, "So this gives you a flavor of how we're approaching DLC. These are going to be characters that are new to the series, just like Joker from Persona 5. characters you wouldn't anticipate to be in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, end quote. And have tended to not be as excited when characters joining Smash aren't from a franchise that aren't currently represented. I think Reggie's statements were taken a little out of context. I believe he was just reiterating that there won't be any veteran fighters rejoining the roster since everyone is here. Besides, Smash Bros. Has never shied away from adding fighters from previously represented franchises. And I believe far more players would be upset if such characters were never considered. Most successful series have many enjoyable characters and have multiple installments. Narrowing the search for future fighters to just one fighter from every franchise comes off rather wasteful to me. Piggybacking a bit off of my previous reasoning, I think a lot of people were expecting Fighter Pass Volume 1 to be all third-party fighters. And even when that didn't come to fruition, many believed Fighter Pass Volume 2 would be an inverse of the first. Instead of ending with a Nintendo character, they would begin with one and then finish off the pass with more non-Nintendo guests. I think this is another case where many feel tricked and or upset they were wrong rather than being disappointed in the specific fighter. Honestly, at this point, any character revealed is going to get a lot of backlash when the amount of available openings in the roster is dwindling down. Unfortunately, only so many dream third-party guests can join the roster. But fortunately, Nintendo has a plethora of personalities that would make excellent fighters. But was Rex better suited for Super Smash Bros. Though? I can't personally vouch for this argument, seeing I haven't got to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 yet, but the general consensus among Xenoblade fans, as well as the general public, seems to favor the flavor of fighters we are getting. Most imagining Rex would play similarly, switching between the blades and acting accordingly, which may come off too reminiscent of Shulk's playstyle. Whereas now we have two fighters that stand apart a little more from the rest of the cast. Let's not forget, at its core, Super Smash Bros. Is a Nintendo crossover. The idea that it's the greatest gaming crossover of all time, to me at least, takes a little away from what made the game special in the first place. When we first saw third-party guests, it seemed like they had to be a certain level of iconic to make it into the game, and this held true for some time, to the point that after Pac-Man's inclusion, many were curious to who could live up to the hype, thinking only retro gaming icons like Bomberman or maybe Ryu Hayabusa could stand so tall. Ryu from Street Fighter then introduced the possibility of multiple characters from the same third-party company. Then Cloud busted through any and all other restrictions people thought existed. Then Bayonetta lowered the bar by quite a margin. Joker continued this trend, kicking off Ultimate DLC. Many were excited about these characters, but to me at least it took a toll on how epic it was, or how much it meant to be a third-party guest. And there weren't so much standards as there was just looking out for compensational interests. All that being said, to me it's a breath of fresh air to see fighters from Nintendo's own series, even those that may not have exactly broken sales records. It takes me back to simpler times. I don't have first-hand knowledge of how great a game Xenoblade Chronicle 2 is, but from what I've seen so far, it is a beautiful game with likable character designs. The sales aren't the best of Nintendo's franchises, but everyone I've spoken with or reviews I've read or watched, there's nothing but praise for the game. I like to see such an adored Nintendo game getting attention from the big end. As I said before, I was hoping at some point in DLC to see an additional Echo Fighter or two. If not of an existing fighter, then of a fighter that we receive in the past. Like, for instance, we would get Dixie Kong, and an additional bonus would be Funky Kong as an echo of Donkey Kong. Or we could get, like, Leon Kennedy in the past, and then get Jill Valentine as an echo alongside him. I wasn't expecting this by any means, but I would have been happy if it happened. This may be the closest we get to that. Two fighters that play very similarly, but you can switch between them as needed. I look at this as more bang for your buck, but also more characters entering the fray means more fans that get their dream fighter. I think what helped us receive this many fighters is the Smash team's ability to reuse assets, and from what little we did see in Pyra and Mythra's trailer, they didn't shy away from Control-C and Control-V. From what I've seen, it looked like Pyra's down tilt, up tilt, and up air are literally Corrin's moves, while Pyra's up tilt is Cloud's, down air is Lucina's, and one of her forward smashes is Hero's, but with fire. Many would complain about reusing so many animations, but I personally prefer more ways to play, and I realize if the character wasn't so easily implemented, then we probably would have just had one less fighter in DLC, or two less in Pyra and Mythra's case. Try not to think of them so much as taking a slot from a potential fighter, but more of an extra couple ounces of icing on an already sweet cake. So, should Pyra and Mythra have been included in the Fighter Pass? Why not? They may anger many based on their weapon of choice, or just daring to show up in a Nintendo crossover while actually being from Nintendo. But I personally can't wait to try them out. I miss the Sheik and Zelda combo, and I'm glad another character can fight in a similar style. Or you can choose to just play as the single fighter if they don't force a switch upon KO like Pokemon Trainer. For those who might prefer just one of the bLadies, I'll give them a big 3 thumbs up. The more, the merrier. So until next time, my friends, I'll hope you'll, like me, be anxiously awaiting next week's Mr. Sakurai Presents. Bye.